Hello and welcome to another edition of the Reb Zone. I'm your host Quinn Smith. Today we'll be covering the start of the 2014 football season, along with an update on the highly ranked Ole Miss baseball team. Later in the show, we'll challenge two Ole Miss student athletes to a friendly competition. But first we have information on Ole Miss starting quarterback Bo Wallace and his injured throwing shoulder. Pete Porter has more.
The annual Grove Bowl Saturday not only marks the end of spring practice for the Ole Miss football team, but it also marks the beginning of a new phase in the road to recovery for senior quarterback Bo Wallace.
I think spring's important. I think the film sessions and all the things he can see are important, but I don't think any of this compares to what he can get in January, February, May, June, and July. Because the issue we had last year was not having a time to really strengthen and rehab, that the arm strength diminished as the year went on.
The arm strength issues stemmed from the injury Wallace suffered during his sophomore season against Tulane. He had surgery following that season and looked to be healed heading into 2013. However, his arm strength continued to digress as the season went on. In fact, 5 of Wallace's 10 interceptions came in the last 3 games of the year. So this offseason, Wallace and the Rebel coaching staff are doing everything they can to get that shoulder 100% before the fall.
We're taking a little trip to a specialist that kind of specializes in baseball. Pitchers that have had issues with elbow, shoulder, how they really re-strengthen an arm. We're sending him to that for a week, and I think those will pay dividends even more than the 15 spring practices.
Wallace will head out west to see specialist Tom House, a former major league pitcher who has helped multiple quarterbacks and pitchers following shoulder injuries.
Eli told me it was the guy that done Drew Brees'. So right after he had that bad shoulder surgery, he went out there. So, he said it's probably going to be good. And, I'm just excited to get out there and work.
But I saw on Real Sports or whatever it is on HBO about a pitcher who had rehabbed his arm and got a lot stronger. So I investigated on the internet and found the guy who actually rehabbed him. So we're going to get him out there, and who knows if he can come back and get a little more zip on the ball and be able to, most of all, finish the whole season with the same velocity as when he started. Obviously, it's going to be a huge plus for us.
For Reb Zone, I'm Pete Porter.
Thanks, Pete. And with all this latest injury buzz, this leaves a lot of Rebel fans wondering about our backup quarterback situation. Browning Stubbs has a story.
As spring practice comes to a close, one of the last remaining questions is, who will be the backup quarterback? Will it be Ryan Buchanan or Devontae Kincaid?
Oh, man, it goes back and forth every day. I thought Ryan had a better day today. But Kincaid, I thought, was better Wednesday on that given day. So it's going back and forth, and it's going to take a while.
Redshirt freshman Devontae Kincaid looks to win the job with his mobility on the run.
A lot of knowledge. Bo and Bear, they helped me out a lot. So not playing, I just studied the playbook a lot, learned more defenses, and that's basically it.
After playing in a similar offense in high school, Devontae Kincaid is ready to play the Rebels' up-tempo offense.
It fit my skill set to the T because I did most of all these things in high school. So most of our whole offense is basically what I did in high school. It's just the same. Ain't no difference, I promise. But just the way they call it. Just do what I can, do what I'm supposed to do the little things, do everything that coach want me to do, and just hopefully I better get the job.
On the other hand, redshirt freshman Ryan Buchanan looks to win the job with his pocket passing ability.
I think a lot of playing quarterback is just straight experience. It's straight, getting out here and going live. I mean, there's a big difference from sitting behind the play and you know what to read, you know where to throw the ball, but actually making the placement of a ball, making the right, picking up a blitz. I mean, it's completely different when you get out there. But I mean, it was good to know our stuff on paper. Kind of, the coach's decision what they're going to, decide if it's close or not. I feel like it's close. He's a really good quarterback.
Ole Miss head coach Hugh Freeze says he's not ready to name the backup quarterback until the week before their first game against Boise State.
Yeah, that'll go all the way, probably to the game week.
Devontae Kincaid and Ryan Buchanan aren't the only two quarterbacks that are fighting for a position. Jeremy Liggins and Kendrick Doss are fighting for the 4th quarterback position for the Rebels this season. And now let's send it over to David Collier for an inside look at Robert Kimdichie.
When football season rolled around last fall, everyone's eyes were on the same guy. Normally you'd think that would be the quarterback or another high-profile offensive player, But instead, everyone was looking at a defensive lineman who had not played a down of college football. And that guy was Robert Nkemdiche. Nkemdiche's name was known from the very first day he stepped foot on the Ole Miss campus, and nothing less could be expected for the #1 high school recruit in the nation. The signing of Nkemdiche led to a domino effect for the Rebels' 2013 recruiting class, and that class made a huge impact in their first year in Oxford. But for Nkemdiche, he wasn't pleased.
I could have did better, I feel like. Went through some adversity, had some injuries, but look forward to a big year this year.
Nkemdiche finished his freshman campaign with 34 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 pass breakups, and 3 quarterback hurries. Those are good numbers for a freshman playing in the SEC, especially considering that Nkemdiche switched from defensive end and defensive tackle during the season and missed 3 games due to a hamstring injury. There's no denying the hype that Nkemdiche and the rest of his freshman class had on their backs throughout the year, and Nkemdiche even drew the attention of opposing teams week in and week out.
It's times I got double team, triple team, I was, they try to come at me with different things, try to get me out the game. So
now, all the focus is on 2014 and how good Nkemdiche will be. There are plenty of doubters out there, but the Music City Bowl may have been his best game so far, and that has to be encouraging for the 6'4", 277-pounder.
It's fun for me because I got to set up for the year I'm going to have this year, and that right there, that game was really slowed down for me. I had a lot of games under my belt, so that game was really slowed down, and I had to make some plays.
As Nkemdiche and the Rebels head towards next season, there's only one goal in their minds, and that's reaching Atlanta for the SEC championship.
It feels more realistic, especially how the team's playing this spring. We're having a great spring as a team. And, the offense is doing a lot of great things, defense doing a lot of great things. So I feel like that goes just getting closer to the goal. So.
For Reb Zone, I'm David Collier. Let's send it to Cameron Cook, who will take a look at the sophomore playmaking combo of Laquan Treadwell, Quincy Adeboyejo, and Evan Ingram.
Last year, Ole Miss acquired Quincy Adeboyejo, Evan Ingram, and Laquan Treadwell, 3 receivers who had a huge impact on the successful football season. This spring, Quincy Adeboyejo is switching from outside wide receiver to slot. Adeboyejo, who finished his freshman year with 8 total yards, only had 1 touchdown on the season.
I feel like, I have a lot more opportunities to make plays this year. I didn't really have too many opportunities this year, but there's probably some plays that I left out there on the field, and I just ready to come back at it and make a change on that.
Did it help you to kind of sit there and learn, when you had guys like Jamez Logan and Dante Moncrief that were experienced and knew what they were doing? Could they kind of give you pointers?
Yeah, that was actually a big thing to be behind those guys. Those were real good receivers that I learned different things from both of them, and that was like big brothers to me, so that was a big plus.
Freshman tight end Evan Ingram, who suffered a high ankle sprain against LSU, is another player looking forward to his sophomore year. Ingram finished his freshman year with 21 receptions and 268 yards, leaving him with 3 touchdowns on the season.
I want to get more physical. It was tough because me getting hurt, I lost a lot of weight that I put on over the summer, and I'm just now getting it back, and it's kind of weird being able to move around with it. So definitely just get a little bit more physical, work on my hands a little bit more, and be a more all-around tight end.
Play action. Bernetti wants to throw. He fires to the 3-yard line. Caught, falling into the end zone. Touchdown, Ole Miss. The Rebels strike is Raven on the tackle.
Last but not least, there's Laquan Treadwell. Coming off an outstanding freshman year, setting several school records, Treadwell is another freshman receiver doing well in spring practice.
I think my role has to step up as a leader. Since Dante left, Vince is kind of laid back. He don't really speak much. He just play the game, play ball. And I guess I do have to step up and be a leader.
These 3 young receivers have a bright future here at Ole Miss, but first they look to improve their game during the offseason. Here's Jill and Maria with a Grove Bowl preview.
So we have the top 5 things you should look out for this Saturday at the Grove Bowl. And let's start with number 1, the race for the backup quarterback. Maria, what do you think is going to happen with that?
Well, Bo Wallace isn't going to be a huge factor in this spring game on Saturday. His prolonging injury is definitely taking a toll on him. And I'm thinking that we're going to be looking at more of Devontae Kincaid this year. You know, he's been great during spring practice. He's been really physical. He's been good in and out of the pocket. Scrambling out of the pocket's a huge thing for him. The coaches are kind of looking at him to push the dynamic behind Bo Wallace in order to push the Rebels even further. We have Jeremy Liggins, who's a huge guy. He's not going to see much action in the quarterback position, but he's definitely a huge guy at 6'3", 296 pounds. I'm surprised that he can even throw the ball as hard as he can. It's Ryan Buchanan. He's a Jackson, Mississippi native, and he hasn't seen too much action on the field for spring practice. You know, he's seen more interceptions than complete passes during the spring practice.
I mean, I definitely think he has a lot of work to do in order to catch up to Kincaid. I mean, that's obvious.
So the second thing we're going to talk about today is the freshman from last year moving into the sophomore position on this football team. Jill, what do you think about these kids going into their sophomore year?
I mean, they're upperclassmen now. They know what to expect. They know how everything works. I also think, you know, Robert Kimdichie, he has so much to prove. I mean, we expected so much of him last season, and I definitely think he's going to be one of the ones to watch out for. What do you think about Laquan Treadwell and how he's been doing in the offseason?
Laquan Treadwell has had an amazing offseason so far. He's gained 30-plus pounds in the offseason. He's lifting weights unlike he didn't do in high school, and I think this is going to be a huge year for him. You know, Dante Moncrief, with the absence of him, he doesn't really have a huge wide receiver to look up to, but I think he's definitely going to play the role as wide receiver this year for Ole Miss, and he is going to just take it all home.
The new additions to the safety positions, C.J. Hampton, Anthony Alford, what do you think? Let's start with C.J.
C.J. is a four-star prospect. He's a great addition to the safety position, and he is just doing the Rebels a great favor by being here for spring practice, and he's definitely going to see some action on the football field on Saturday. Anthony Alford, he's a great addition. You know, coaches are talking about him being one of the best safeties that they've seen in a long time, and he could potentially be starting over Trey Elston in the fall. Another big change that we're going to be looking at this Saturday is the offensive line. Laramie Tunzel and Austin Golson are our two big offensive linemen that won't be seeing any action this Saturday, but will hopefully be seeing action in the regular season. Aaron Morris is also another big offensive lineman that we haven't seen any action from this spring, and hopefully we'll see him in the regular season. So the last thing we have to look forward to on Saturday is some position changes, some big ones at that. Laquan Treadwell and Quincy Adebojo are switching positions. Laquan used to be in the slot and is now going to outside receiver, and Quincy will be taking his place in the slot. Quintavious Burdett will move to receiver from defensive back, and Austin Golson will move from right guard to right tackle, assuming his injury is healed.
Looks like Channing Ward will get some time at the tight end, and also Jeremy Liggins will get a chance to see quarterback and tight end as well.
That's all the time we have for you today. I'm Maria Martin.
I'm Jill Clifton.
And let's send it back to Quentin at Vaught Hemingway Stadium.
And switching gears now from the gridiron to the baseball diamond, the Rebels have been off to a hot start this season. David Collier evaluates the season so far and what's to come.
It's been an up and down season for the Ole Miss baseball team so far, but there's still plenty of reason for optimism for the remainder of the season. The Diamond Rebels blew through the non-conference portion of their schedule before entering Southeastern Conference play. In the first SEC weekend series, Ole Miss traveled to then #1 South Carolina. After taking the first game of the three-game series, the Rebels lost in heartbreaking fashion in Game 2 and lost by 2 runs in the series finale.
Line shot down the right field line, fair ball, rounding third is Griner, fist in the air, and the Gamecocks are going to complete the comeback and win 5-4 in 10 innings.
They came back to Oxford the following weekend to host Missouri in a 3-game set. The Rebels used a big offensive performance that weekend to sweep the series. Then, trouble came to the Ole Miss baseball team. The Rebels went on to lose its next 4 games, including a sweep at the hands of Alabama on the road.
I mean, the bus ride home wasn't as fun as you think it would be, but we came back ready to play today, so it was good.
It was the first time all season that the Rebels got to face adversity, and so far, it appears they're handling that well.
Tuesday, I loved our energy in practice. I don't want to say surprised. Probably the better word would be excited to see how much they got after it. In practice yesterday, where you have a day off after a tough week of baseball, and you come and have practice and show that kind of energy. You knew that they were ready. We talked to them a little bit about where we are and what would happen, and then how you got to handle it. It happens to all teams. I don't know if they even needed that. I mean, they seem to be the same team they were a week prior, so that was nice to see.
Ole Miss got back in the win column Wednesday with 11-1 win over Arkansas Pine Bluff, and they're hoping to get some momentum heading into their 3-game series at home against SEC West Auburn, which begins Friday night.
stats and whatnot. You know that you get like 3 hitters in the top 10 in the SEC, and Coach Galloway's always won wherever he's been, and you knew when he get there that he'd get him going.
Going forward, the Rebels will look to continue their good performance on the mound. The weekend rotation is highlighted by junior right-hander Chris Ellis, who is 4-0 with the 1.91 ERA. And at the plate, Ole Miss is hitting .299 as a team and is led by senior third baseman Austin Anderson, who is hitting .368 with 3 home runs and 16 RBIs.
Rebels take a 2-0 lead on Austin Anderson's second home run of the season.
Looks like a hit-and-run call right there, and that ball was up and in, and Austin Anderson didn't have to hit that one on the ground. He turned on it, hit it out of the yard.
Senior catcher Will Allen and junior first baseman Syke Sorgas have both improved their numbers at the plate from last season. But Ole Miss will really be relying on junior center fielder Austin Bosfield, who is hitting .336 right now, but is in a bit of a slump as of late.
Yeah, that's hard to say just because he played so well at the beginning of the season. I don't know if you can sustain that kind of pace where he's 450, 500. But one of the things is he just got to continue to be aggressive. Baseball is one of those games that has ebbs and flows, and he needs to just continue to keep his head up and continue to play hard. And even the games where maybe he felt he hasn't played his best, he still defends. He still makes great plays out there. He'll get a bunt out for you. He seems to always get the big hit. There might not be a 3-for-4 game, so he's going to be fine. He's going to be terrific.
I think I've been fine. I've been hitting balls hard. Just haven't been lucky enough. I hit some balls hard at Auburn. I hit a ball hard today, so I'm not too worried about it. Same thing happened to me last year, and I think I let it affect me a little too much. But I'm fine.
Ole Miss enters this weekend 22-8 and 4-5 in the SEC, but with Auburn coming to town, the Rebels are looking to get things going back in the right direction. For Reb Zone, I'm David Collier.
There's still a lot of beverages left in the cooler.
Thanks, David. Now for the final portion of our show, Reb Zone decided to challenge some of Ole Miss's finest student athletes. Nick Andrews and Houston Brock have more.
Nick Andrews here with Shelby Joe Fenter. Shelby Joe, part of the Ole Miss pitching staff that pitched a complete game no-hitter the other day. You guys, 3 girls did it. It was awesome a couple of weeks ago. So we're going to ask you some stuff. Teach me how to pitch a softball. I have no idea what's going on. First of all, what do you throw? What's your style?
I throw rise, curve, screw. I'm more of a kind of like a power pitcher, more speed and a lot of up.
Right, so
a lot of up pitches.
You got 2-2 or full count. You really got to come with something here. What are you going to come with?
Rise ball.
Rise ball.
Probably up and in at the hands.
How does that work? How do you hold it and how do you throw it?
Rise ball, 2 seams on the left of their seams, that finger tucked, and all you're going to do is you're going to come right down here by your knees and flip it up, just like that.
Ole Miss senior and West Arkansas native Shelby Joe Fenter helped pitch a complete game no-hitter on a midweek contest against Louisiana Tech a couple of weeks ago. Shelby Joe joined Carly Hummel and Maddie Osias. The 3 girls combined for 7 innings, allowing just 1 walk on the evening. Shelby Joe said that Ole Miss wants her to focus less on velocity and more on spin, and they've got a special tool to help her to do that. Coach handed me one of these. Will you tell me what this is and what this does?
This is a spinner, which is very important in the SEC. You got to spin the ball, or they will knock the crap out of it. So, curveball, you would spin it this way, make sure it's going in the right direction. Screwball, this way, and rise ball, you would go up like that.
We're gonna go, and I'm gonna stand in and see what it's like. You see a Shelby Joe rise ball, full velocity. I'm a little scared, to be honest with you. I haven't stood in a batter's box in like 6 years. Oh my God, I would so take you deep. First pitch.
Rise out.
Oh, that's so quick.
Point of the rise ball is to definitely make them chase it, make them swing, get in on their hands. The bad thing about a rise ball is that if you throw it flat, it's going over the fence.
Nice, good pitch.
Change up. Okay, I palm it. Okay, palm my change up, and I throw it like my curveball. So when I come around, I mean, everything's the same except for I just dig it deeper into my hand. and once I get around, I release it like a curveball, and so it kind of just dies down.
Fenter walks out to The Outsiders by Eric Church. It gets her ready to go. I guess as Eric Church might say, in the SEC, it's a different kind of cloth that they're cut from. For Reb Zone, I'm Nick Andrews.
We're here at the Gillum Sports Center today with Kelly McCormick and Olivia Harrison. Girls, how are y'all doing today?
Good, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for coming again. What we're going to do today is we're going to challenge them a little bit to their own game of soccer today. Kelly, one of the most successful goalies in Ole Miss history. Tell me a little bit how you prepare into the offseason going into your senior year.
Well, as we're training every day, I'm listening to my coach's advice, using their constructive criticism for my benefit and improving. I'm also being challenged by my teammates when they're shooting all the time, and they're just making me rise to the next level.
Awesome. And Olivia, you led the team in assists this last season. Tell me a little bit about how you work on, getting your teammates so involved.
I think our team really involves themselves. We all challenge each other, and everyone just does their part, so it's really easy.
Modest indeed. All right, well, we're going to warm up a little bit, get some stretch, get loose a little bit, and see how we go. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. That's all I can handle. All right, so soccer is a game all about touch, as we know, and that is really important to your position, is it not?
It is.
All right, so how do you practice on your touch a little bit? What do you like to do?
We do passing drills. We do sort of like touches in between cones.
Yeah?
Juggling. Yeah.
Juggling?
Yep.
I think I could get a little juggling. What do you think? Let's try it. All right, our personal best is 500. I'm going to do what I can to try to top that. Yeah, same time, okay. Same time. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, yikes. That's one. Right. That's one. Hey, what are you gonna say? What do you gotta tell all the fans out there that you just lost on the first one?
Talking too soon.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. I think you hit my ball. All right. Last time, winner take all.
All right.
Yeah, all right. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, yeah, start.
I'll start over?
Yeah. Ready? Sorry, I'm like. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, that's all the juggling we got. Time for some PKs. What do you think, Kelly?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. All right. So penalty kicks are a big part of the game. Tell me a little bit about how you prepare for penalty kicks during practice.
Well, penalty kicks aren't in the favor of the goalkeeper. We're not supposed to necessarily save them all.
That might be a little biased coming from a goalkeeper.
I know, it sounds that way. But one thing I do, we practice a lot with our teammates. Sometimes I know where they're going because they always shoot that way. So it's kind of hard for me to try to figure out where they're actually going to go, like in a real situation. But I just try to reenact everything that I would do in the game, and hopefully the odds are in my favor at the end.
Well, we'll see if the odds are in your favor today. We're going to take a couple penalty shots on each other, see how we do?
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, let's get going. Shot number 1.
Well, looking at his body angle, I assumed he was going to be going this way, but he kind of kicked it right down the middle, but in that direction.
Well, personally, I think she just made that up. I think she got lucky, but we'll see how we do on shot number 2. I think I kicked it a little bit too hard for her. I'm gonna soften up this time on her just to make it a little easier. Shot number 4.
Now it's his turn.
Not scared. That was just bad. Yeah, you can attribute those last 2 saves to right here. It's too much heart, too much heart. It's a tie. We're gonna go with Olivia for the game winner. I don't know. All right, that's good enough. She laughed. That's funny. Is that good? Ah!
Oh. That really hurt.
All right, bring it in. Well, I didn't bring my best effort out there today, but I thought I did pretty good. What do you girls think?
Yeah, you did really well.
Yeah, not bad. All right, reporting for Reb Zone, I'm Houston Brock.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Reb Zone. Tune in next week for more coverage of the 2014 Grove Bowl, as well as more student-athlete challenges. I'm your host, Quinn Smith.